Hey everyone, this is your favorite radio host, your only radio host, Corinne Lafont of Between the Lines, broadcasting to you from Trinidad and Tobago. And you know, I always start my show being thankful. Um, it's a special time that I'm doing this episode today because you know I normally do my recordings in the daytime, but my guest that you're seeing on the screen is actually in Australia, so it's like a whole day. And if I were to do it at my usual time, which is at 10:30 in the morning, she would probably be asleep, I guess, at her time in Australia, down under. So we had to, but the common thing with us is that we both live on islands. Isn't that amazing? We both live on islands, although Australia could swallow up Trinidad and Tobago. That's okay. We're both islanders. And the good thing about it is that she's on a continent. I'm not. So they're all good things about it. Yeah? They're all good things about it. She has a beautiful screen, green screen behind her. I just absolutely love it. It looks tropical. I think it even is a cactus type thing. I love that. Yes. We call that aloe vera. It's like the aloe vera plant. And she's looking beautiful. Let me give you a quick intro on Cynthia Darin. It's Darin, is it?
That's right.
Yes, Cynthia Darin from Australia. And let me just share with you before I introduce her what we're going to be talking about today. Taking your small business international without breaking the bank. Let me just give you a quick intro on Cynthia. She's an international business strategist, author, and keynote speaker. In 2013, she founded her company, Darin and Associates. Cynthia wanted to empower companies, especially smaller companies, to succeed internationally and to create the international impact that they dream of. In 2015, she published her first book, Camels, Sheikhs, and Billionaires. I mean, we should be in that book. Your Guide to Business Culture in the Middle East and North Africa, which became an Amazon bestseller. Her second book, Business Beyond Borders, How to Take Your Company Global, is due for release in 2019, so we are looking out for that. And of course, to have her back on the show. She is proud of the International Business Accelerator, which she launched in 2017. This is a program which aims to radically transform the way micro to medium-sized companies launch into international markets, which we're talking about today. Cynthia believes it has the potential to empower thousands of companies to launch internationally and to create huge impact for clients overseas, for local economies, and for the companies themselves. In the years ahead, she hopes her program, the Business Accelerator, can be used to change lives everywhere. Welcome, Cynthia, to Between the Lines.
It's great to be on the show, Corinne.
Yes, it's awesome to have you down under. Yeah, I mean, I just love some nice people down there, especially that guy who acted in X-Men. You know, he's the one person that everybody always talks about. Wolverine. Hugh Jackman, he's just the sexiest thing out. Please tell him I say hi, and he has a great fan in Trinidad and Tobago.
Will do.
Yes. Make sure you kidnap him and wrap him up and hold him there for me. Yeah. All right, Cynthia. So we're talking about international business, how to really get small businesses to tap into the international business markets without really breaking the bank or robbing the bank. Yeah, how do they do that? And tell us, how does your program help them to get into that sort of to make that possible? How is that happening?
So let me first tell you a little bit about what we see people doing a lot. And what we see people doing a lot in the small business space is coming up with an idea to expand their company internationally and just jumping straight in. Now, in some ways that's kind of a cool thing to do. And the reason for that is that I believe there's never been a better time to take your company international, particularly if you're a smaller business. Now, there are a couple of reasons for that. The first one is that technology has shrunk the world. So, we're on a call today where I'm in Sydney, Australia, you're in Trinidad and Tobago, we've never met, we're miles away, time zones away, thousands of Ks away, but we can actually speak to each other and we can do this interview. And just in the same way that technology has enabled us to do that, it also enables companies, no matter how small they are, to do things like communicate with suppliers and staff and clients using applications like the one we're using today, Zoom, or to set up an online shopping account and sell their product, even if they don't have a lot of capital and a lot of overhead. And, basically technology lets them reach people that they could never have dreamed of reaching 10 or maybe even 5 years ago in some cases. So that's the first reason why I think there's never been a better time to go global. Now, the second is that we have seen an explosion in global markets over about the last 20 years or so. And if we think particularly about India and China, these are countries where the middle classes have just grown exponentially. And so there are now millions and millions more people who can afford to buy the kinds of goods and services that companies, and especially small companies, make compared to what we saw just a relatively short time ago. If you look at the total global marketplace, there are about 7 billion people in it, and about 3 to 4 billion of those have the means and the wherewithal to actually buy something from you. Mm-hmm. So there are a couple of these reasons that mean that now is a really great time to be launching into international business, and the barriers to entry are much lower, even if you're small. What we see most people doing, though, as I said a moment ago, is coming up with an idea and just jumping straight in. Now, that is a really bad way to do it, but the reason that most people do this is that there is all this opportunity, but there is a big capability gap. And by that, I mean that people see opportunity to expand. Lots of people are aware that they can expand, but when it comes to the how of that expansion, they're really not up to speed. And, that's not surprising because this is a new opportunity. So for lots of people, they won't have seen this before. So people just start. And often it doesn't work out so well. They deploy a lot of time and energy and resources reinventing the wheel, using trial and error strategies without any real plan or any really well-defined strategy to take the business international. That's when things tend to go wrong. And we see most of the companies that randomly try to go overseas fail in that project. The flip side of that is that you need a great strategy to take your business overseas successfully and to keep your costs down and to make it possible for you to expand. And that is really what the International Business Accelerator is about. I created it because I saw this big gap between opportunity and capability that I wanted to fill. And I really didn't see many other people filling that gap in a structured way. Now, the reason that I specifically wanted to fill it for medium-sized and smaller companies is that I believe these are some of the groups, some of the organizations that really have the power to change the world. Now, governments can do things, they can disrupt things, but a lot of the change that government makes is pretty slow. And you can see as you look around the world that it doesn't always work that well. But people in companies, especially smaller companies, they aren't constrained by those kind of rules that government operate under. So if a company can come up with a brilliant idea and it can launch it into an international market where it can reach thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions more clients, that company can change its destiny. It can change the future of the people who work for the company and the communities those people live in. And it can make a tremendous impact on the lives of the people it's supplying things to. So, for example, if you have a company that provides medical services, I can think of a great example in Aspen Medical, a small Australian company. They went to the United Arab Emirates in the Middle East about 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And they created an ambulance service where there was none. And they did that because one of the founders was driving from the airport down a very long road and he got stuck in a 100-car pileup on the freeway. Wow. And as he sat there and waited for something to happen, stuck in this terrible traffic accident, he realized that there were no ambulances, and he started to talk to the gentleman he was with and to say, where are all the ambulances coming to get the injured people? And the guy said, we don't have an ambulance service here. Now, that guy is a chap called Dr. Andrew Walker. Andrew went away and said, we can help you. Mm-hmm. They brought an ambulance service, or the concept of the ambulance service that we have here in Australia, and they transplanted that into the UAE, and they drastically reduced the mortality rate from road accidents because suddenly, even when people were in a pile-up, they could get emergency care in a short space of time. So I see, tremendous potential for impact.
Yeah. No, that was great opportunity showing up itself at the right time with the right person. I mean, that's a
Yes.
great spark there. That doesn't happen for every business person. And some people just don't have the kind of insight sometimes to see the opportunities when things are happening around them. But,
Yes.
in listening to you, I was living in Jamaica for 21 years, and
Yes.
I've just recently returned to Trinidad, and I've worked with small businesses there. And listening to you talking about taking small overseas is exporting. You're basically talking exporting, and
I'm
that
basically talking exporting, although I don't really like that word because I
I
think it
know.
often conjures up pictures of things on crates in ships, and
Yeah,
we know that
yeah.
what you do in that space is so much more diverse.
I know, but when you talk, it automatically took me to the traditional way of doing business, which is
Yes.
exporting, where you have to do labeling, packaging, the whole standardization of products, making sure you meet that particular country's needs in terms of if it's a food stuff or depending on how it should be packaged. All those different things that take into consideration, which takes time. Sometimes it takes years. Then the licenses and the permissions and all those things. And I know that there are lots of businesses in Jamaica, in the Caribbean especially, that want to export overseas, that want to get into the markets overseas. And they're just having a difficult time to do so. And they don't understand how to do so, or how to make everything is the how. How
Yes.
who to talk to, where do I start? And they will
Yes.
have expositions, right? I've organized a number of small businesses to be part of these expositions, where you have these exchange of companies that will come in from abroad. You would have that mutual exchange where suppliers meet buyers, and I've been a supplier, I've been a buyer, so I've seen both sides. you know I've been in the booths, so I've seen all the different angles. And most of the time, these guys come is more like a vacation. These suppliers come is more like a vacation. Yeah, they meet you, and probably one or two business things may strike up, or they may give you the impression. But at the end of the expo, Cynthia, nothing really happens. You don't see that kind of massive results that you're really looking for. That sort of business discussion, and you wonder if they even started matching. So, for example, they may match a particular supplier with a buyer, bring them together, put them in certain sessions, and create the environment for the discussion and the contractual arrangement should it reach that. But it just doesn't. So I'm looking at the traditional side of it. And you're talking about technology has made it so much easier. And yes, everything you've said is correct. It has made it easier. Products are no longer tangible. They're more intangible. So you're talking about just a click of a button. Somebody can buy your products online and they get it digitally, like ebooks, whatever it may be, or it could be a service. Things are there. People are doing virtual services, etc. So
Yes.
yeah, virtual services, because I have somebody working for me in India. People, there are different people working for me all over, and I'm working for people here in Trinidad and when I was in Jamaica. So it makes it easier. And of course, you don't have the kind of barriers like you're saying, like government, the bureaucracy, or you have to go through a lot of licensing. And it's hard to track. I did some work with CARICOM, which is the regional agency here and in the Caribbean, and they're having a hard time tracking, and this is information for you as well, tracking income of persons
Yes.
who are doing business online, to tax them, to, to track their income and expenditure, because you really don't know how much they're making. And they're trading through PayPal, through Stripe. There's no way to really see, and they will not tell you the results. Even entertainers, artists who are going abroad and performing, it's hard for them to track what they're making. So that is even export, that is even going into international markets. But and my question to you after saying all of that is, what sort of businesses would be the best type, or what would you recommend for businesses to consider or to start off with? Because it can't be all small businesses. Which types of businesses are best for getting into or expanding into international markets?
So look, I would say that there are several criteria. I mean, the first thing to know is that it can be a good or a service that you sell. We work with sellers of goods, but we also work with and we work primarily with sellers of services. But what you need to do is you need to have a product with a point of difference. So I like to use the example of, widgets or tiny little screws. If you manufacture a widget in a country with a high cost base like Australia, where your minimum labor cost is going to be around $22 an hour, and then you try and sell that into a market like China, where the same widget can be made at a cost of about 22 cents an hour, you're going to really struggle, because you just cannot compete on price. So what you want to be doing is looking at your product and saying, is there something about my product? Is there something about the way that my company creates its good or its service or works with the customers? Is there something about us that makes us special and makes us desirable and makes us a company that people would like to work with? So you have to do that. You really have to have a vision for international success. I don't believe that it's something that very many people can just do randomly and have work well, because it does take a lot of strategic thinking. So you have to have that vision and really that drive and determination, because you're going to have some good days, but you're going to have some really difficult days in there as well while you're going through that process of expanding internationally. And you need a plan. You need a plan for how you're going to do this, so that you don't do the trial and error method where you invest a lot of time and resources without having much of a clue when you expect to see a return on those and at what point you will stop spending money. So, it all needs to be thought through very carefully. So, you need vision and determination. You need something with real difference and something special, and you need a plan.
Yeah, that's just a general overview. That sounds really fabulous. I think people may have that idea, but in terms of the businesses themselves. So for example, okay, let's use me as an example. I'm into publishing.
Yes.
I'm into publishing, self-publishing, helping persons to get their books out there. Coach, I'm into writing their books, getting them published on Amazon, etc. Very digital, digital marketing, online. So clearly that's a great product that can easily convert or move in easily into an international market. But which markets? How do I find out which markets?
Mm-hmm. And that is the first thing. Once we've worked with a company to ascertain that their company is ready for an international expansion, the first thing we do is we sit down with them and we teach them how to select a market. And we go through a whole lot of, and we teach classes on this that run for a number of hours. So it's difficult for me to talk about it in very detailed terms. But, we get people to look at the macro trends in an economy and to see whether there is a trend happening in that economy that is going to fit with their product or service. Mm-hmm. We get them to look at how much people in the country earn. As I said a moment ago, there's no point to send your very expensive product to a company where there are only a handful of people who can afford to buy it. Mm-hmm. You need to work out whether the people in that market want your product. Mm-hmm. Do they want it? Are they going to buy it? If they're already buying something similar from somebody else, why would they buy your product? So these are the kinds of things that you need to think through. We also ask people to demonstrate for us on paper that they can make a profit before they start, because sometimes people get so emotionally attached to the idea of selling into a particular market that they often they kind of lose their business acumen, and they forget about the fact that this is not a charitable exercise. If they're going to do this, it actually has to generate a return for them. So these are all the kinds of things that we work through with people. We look at tariff barriers, we look at non-tariff barriers. So these are things like special requirements or licenses or quotas or what you would call red tape that can stop you from doing business easily in another country. So we have a whole kind of schematic that we work through with people, and we get them to contrast and compare. So I've had clients come to me, let's say, for example, in May, and they're tossing up between half a dozen different markets and they're really unsure about where to go. Now by June, they will have actually nailed down a market and started creating a plan to get into that market.
Mm-hmm. Now, you had mentioned when I started talking about using me as an example, once I'm ready, what would you look at first to determine if I'm ready to be able to enter into an international market?
So we have a couple of different levels of criteria. And I'm really happy to even share with you the checklist that we give our clients. And if you want to put it up onto the podcast page, people can just download that and use that as a resource. So first of all, we want to look at your company and make sure that it's functioning properly. So we want to know that if you're a small business and you as the founder want to expand internationally, you know how to do things like manage your cash flow, you know how to manage your time and your team, and you have a marketing strategy that already works in your home market. We want to see that you've got traction with your product or service in the market. So if you come to me and say, I have a great idea for this new product or service and I'm going to go international right now, I will probably say to you, you need to wait. You need to go away and you need to be able to demonstrate that you can make money with this in one market, probably in your home market to start out with, unless, of course, it's SaaS, software as a service, in which case your first client could probably come from pretty much anywhere. But we want to see that you have a good concept, that the concept has merit and that people want to buy it so that you're actually generating some money, and then that you've got your time and your cash flow management and your marketing and your team management sorted out. And then there are a whole list of things that we want you to have answered, such as, are we self-aware as a company? Do we understand why we are already successful and how we're going to be able to replicate that success in a new market? Do we have formal criteria for selecting a market? So have we gone through a structured process of selecting a market? Do we understand who our ideal client is in the market that we are targeting? What does that person look like? What is their psychography? What are their wants and needs? What's the demographic? How much are they likely to spend? How can we create a conversation that is really going to speak to them and appeal to them? We want to look at your product and see if your product, the product that you have now, is really going to fit with the people you're targeting in the new place. We want to make sure that you are across the cultural challenges that you might meet when you go to operate somewhere else. We want to make sure that you're across the regulatory environment, because you can do a whole lot of work to get into a market, and if the regulations are not favorable to you, you might be blocked from moving forward. We want you to understand how much it will cost you to expand overseas and to create a budget for that. We want to know that you know how to build a global team and how to manage a global team.
Wow.
And we want to make sure that you have pulled all of that together into a strategy, into a document, a pretty short, punchy document that you can use to take to your investors or to your bank, that you can give to your team members and that you can pin up on the wall for those days when it's difficult, so you can remind yourself why you're actually doing the project.
Now, when you're saying all of that, I'm pretending to be that small business person who's listening to you, have the desire to go internationally, make money in all different currencies, and just say that I'm in this country, that country, etc. It sounds very sexy and romantic. But after hearing all of what you're saying, I'm like, oh my God, my head is hurting me. Overwhelmed. I am not even there. You're talking about the readiness. I'm not there yet. I'm not prepared. And just to hear the kind of work that I would need to do to just get prepared before I could even come to you.
Well, look, no, with that, and that is what we would do. So a lot of people say, oh my gosh, we're not ready to do this. And I say, you don't start when you're ready. What you do is you get prepared. So, for example, at the International Business Accelerator, we help people to answer all those questions that I've just told you. So we will work with you if you come to us and we can see that you've already got a product or service that works, that you've generated some traction in the market with it, and that you've got some real vision to drive the project forward and you're committed to it and it's something that you really want to do.
Okay.
And then we help you to get prepared with all these other things, because there is a lot. And you can make dozens of mistakes on each of the areas that I've just mentioned. And so that's why the failure rate is so high, because people don't know what they don't know.
That's right. So you're hand holding, you're doing the baby holding.
Yes.
So I can come with my new self and say, hey, I started a business. I've been in business for about 5 years. And I think, I really, I've been looking and I really want to take it to the next level, but I really don't know how. And then you come to me and you say, well, Corinne, you're not ready yet. You don't know how big, you have made some money, you have some clients, you have some testimonials. Yeah, you've done work in some markets. And you take me now from that stage and you help me to put systems, structures, documentations in place so that now we can have something to leapfrog, you know.
We basically help you to do three things, Corinne. We help you to get clarity on what you want. So we will push you to create a big vision for what you want to do with your company.
Right.
Within a specific time frame, whether it's 3 or 5 or 10 years or 1 year, whatever that time frame is. We will help you create a strategy for actually getting there so that you are not doing this trial and error thing of just trying all kinds of things blindly and hoping one of them will work. And then we actually work with clients to give them the momentum that they need, because what we see with a small company very frequently is that as the pressure builds up, because when you expand internationally, obviously you're growing and you're getting more clients, and so there's more work coming in, and suddenly you're not just dealing with the work coming from your home market, you're dealing with the work coming from outside and all the extra things that come with that. And business owners sometimes start to get very distracted and they don't know where to focus, and suddenly they're not paying attention to the international business because a big piece of work came up at home, and so the momentum slows down and the project never gets completed. One of the things we do is that we work with clients, we provide accountability, and that keeps them on track to make sure that they actually achieve that goal that they've set themselves.
So what's the incubation period of somebody coming to you, a startup, a small business? What's that incubation period? Because you must have, I guess, different phases for different things.
Yes.
So give me an idea of one that you have worked with, and give me the sort of incubation period where, or periods where the person had moved from, let's say, 0 to, I don't know, whatever the percentages that they're in a market, and they're doing, you know, exceedingly or extremely well compared to when they came to you.
So in general, we say to people, come and spend 18 months with us so that we can work with you really consistently, because we can deliver a whole lot of material at high speed to people, but we know that real results take time. People can, you know, download all the material or do whatever they want with it, but they won't actually be able to assimilate it and implement it into their business. And that's what we're really looking for. We're looking for people to take the knowledge that we give them and then to apply that to their business and then to test and measure and see what the result is. And then depending on the results, either do more of the same or to change things up and test and measure again. To give you an idea of how quickly it can happen, I have a client who I love dearly who is an engineering consultant. He came to us just over a year ago in 2017, and he hadn't even decided which market he was going to. He was tossing up between, I think, Indonesia and China and Singapore and Hong Kong and Malaysia. And he was saying, maybe I should do more than one at a time. And we said, don't do more than one at a time. You just pick one. Let's pick one. Let's pick an easy one. So within 4 to 6 weeks, he had done all of his work on market selection, and he said, right, I'm going to target Singapore. Now within 4 months, he had DHL as his first large client. And then the following month, he had Unilever as his next international client. And then he has spent the last 6 months working to create a strategic alliance with a large multinational warehousing and logistics firm up in Singapore. And he has just created that. And in a few weeks, he will be going back up to Singapore for a second or third visit to actually start that work. So this is over a 12-month period. This person has gone from not even knowing which market they wanted to be in to having clients and having a partnership which is going to massively accelerate their growth in place.
Nice, nice. Now, when you have these sort of partnerships or alliances, like you're saying, when you're making those negotiations, are you a part of that, one? And two, how long, I mean, what's the average time for these sort of strategic alliances? Because it may not last forever. It all depends on how in love they are with each other. Or do
well, to answer the first part of the question, I mean, we could provide that kind of help, but we don't do it in the accelerator itself. We will show people how to do it, and we're happy to, you know, we work one-to-one with our clients. So we will talk to them and they'll ask questions and we'll give them our point of view. We can do that work of helping to set up an alliance as a separate piece of work. We don't do it we don't set up alliances for each client within the scope of the accelerator, because that's not how everybody wants to work. Some people do that way, others choose not to. With an alliance, look, it really depends on the parties. You can set them up for whatever period of time you want. Obviously, if you want to get really great results, you probably want to do something that runs at least for a couple of years, because these things take time.
Yes.
Business doesn't move that quickly always. And so you have to be prepared to give each side time to deliver on the results. One of the things that I think is really important about strategic alliances is that you put structure around them. The failure rate for partnerships and alliances is very, very high. Cisco did a study a few years ago where they looked at strategic alliances, and they found out that the top 15 multinational strategic alliances made $71 billion of turnover in about 3 years. And the next kind of 15 of around the same size that failed lost $41 billion of revenue over the same period. Wow. So, the stakes can be pretty high, and a strategic alliance can be a great way to go, but you have to understand how to manage it.
Yeah.
And there's there's an art and a science around that as well.
There's an art and a science with everything, Cynthia. When you look at everything, there's an art and a science. Oh my goodness. Do you have a website, Cynthia, that I can just bring up while we're talking?
Yes. So if you go to internationalbusinessaccelerator.com.
International spelled out?
Yes, international spelled out. It is a bit long, but we tried for IBA and we couldn't get it.
International Business Accelerator.
Yes.
.com?
Yes.
Let me see if I get it first before I share it on the screen, as if I spell it right. Let's see if I'm a good speller. It's taking a little while. Okay. Yay, I did spell it right. So let me see if I can share the screen here. Okay, there we go. There you are. So International Business Accelerator. What are some things that you want to showcase on this website?
Look, I think if you scroll down, we have a thing called a market ready wheel. And that is a wheel which basically tells you all the things that you need to look at as you go into a new market. And we're about to update this page because we've added new segments to the wheel. But this wheel will tell you, here are all the things that you need to be clear on, and we've just listed them out with a word or two. And we've also listed down the side, what you come away with when you come out of the accelerator is that, you know that you've chosen the right market, that you're ready to start, that your product or service is going to work. That when you go through the culture of the new place, you'll be able to deal with it. That there's nothing that is going to trip you up in a regulatory sense. And you've got a great strategy that you've built. And when you want to know what to do, you pull out your strategy and you look at it and you just do the next step. So this is really about taking a really complex process and breaking it down into a series of small chunks that you can just do one at a time. And we call it eating the elephant with a spoon.
Oh, nice. I've never eaten an elephant with a spoon yet. But, well, I haven't had an elephant yet. But we all have different sorts of elephants that we have to master, right? So
that's right.
Never had it with a spoon. I think I might just run it down and chomp on it, but that's just my approach.
Better if it's made of ice cream.
Well, right. We can visualize that. We can visualize that.
Absolutely.
It's all about the mindset. What you visualize, and then you can go after it. Yeah. But
I'd also say if you wanted to go down to the bottom of the screen, there is a case study down there. The one I mentioned of my client, Peter Gagan, who runs Geotron. And if people want to see Peter's story on that page, Peter actually talks about how he took the company international. And we just ask him to tell the story, and that's what he does in the video.
Let's talk about that. I'm going to feature that. Bring it up.
Hi, I'm Peter Gagan, and I'm the Managing Director and Founder of Geotron. And Geotron is an engineering consultancy firm, and we provide creative design solutions for the built and natural environment. So Geotron, while we're a small firm, we have a very powerful team of experts in the engineering field with 25 to 30 years experience. We've we've all worked on very small projects to very large multi-million-dollar projects, both here in Australia and overseas. So the challenge for Geotron as a small startup engineering consultancy firm was how to do it and which market. What do I do and how do I actually achieve that? Obviously, we want to service our local clients with great service that we provide already. But to actually internationalise it and to take it further and to take it to which country was a real challenge for us. And are we too early? Are we ready for it? There's all those questions going around in my mind. And at the end of the day, you just got to get out and do it. So it was later in 2015, less than 6 months into business, I received an email about a trade mission in Indonesia. I looked at it, I thought, yep, this is for us, Geotron, let's do it. A few months later, we're in Jakarta, meeting delegates on this trade mission. It was fantastic, a great opportunity. I'm so glad we did it. So coming back from Indonesia from our trade mission, it's like, what do you do next? Well, the Deere & Associates have got a great program called the International Business Accelerator. We took on that program and we've been involved with that for the last 5 months. It's an incredible program with great modules and great research and a great educational program, but it's a practical program. And what's happened with our results has been outstanding. Within 4 months, we received our first international client and DHL Philippines. So we're absolutely over the moon with that. And what's even better, in our 5th month, we've just received another international client as Unilever, which is fantastic. We're also in further negotiations with another international client, which is based in Singapore, which is where we want to do our launch pad from for Geotron. So we're over the moon, we're excited, things are happening, but the IBA program is absolutely worth checking out. I feel Geotron at the moment is in a very exciting place. I feel so elated with our results to date within such a short period of time of 2 years, and the future is huge. And we're very, very optimistic about where Geotron can go on both the local market and, of course, the international scene. And the IBA program has certainly been a big part of that success.
Very good. Let me bring you back. Oh, sorry. Where did you go? There you go.
I'm still here.
Trying to bring you back. So I'm going to stop sharing. Yeah, that was awesome. So he just confirmed what you just said. It's great to have these, testimonials to be able to, vocalize and show social proof of what is happening. So Cynthia,
and that's why we do it, because that's really the motivation, because that, for me and for the people on my team, that's the most exciting thing, when you see somebody have a dream about what they can do and then you watch them go out and realize it and you can help them to make that a reality. That's the best part.
That's awesome. I just muted myself there a minute. I was coughing. Yeah, so yeah, that is really awesome. And I'm glad to see that you're doing stuff. And probably you're maybe needed in the Caribbean to help people to really, take it to the next level. That would be awesome. How can persons contact you?
Look, they can go to internationalbusinessaccelerator.com. There's a contact form on that page. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So if you just put in Cynthia Deeren, there's only one of me, and you can send me a private message. We can work with people all over the world. So, the time difference can be a little challenging depending on where we are. But, at the moment we have clients in the States where there's an 18-hour time difference, and we just schedule it so that it's at the most convenient time for everybody. Everything that we do is delivered on the Zoom platform, which you and I are using now, Corinne.
Yeah.
And look, it's amazing. It works so well.
Yeah.
So we have clients that we've never even met, but we meet on this platform all the time, and we do video and we do workshops. We get to know people really well. And then every 4 months we run a retreat. Now, at the moment, we're doing those in Australia. We'll see where we wind up doing them as we go on down the track. But we also give people the opportunity to come and spend a couple of days with us in person and to get to know the other people in the Business Accelerator, because one thing that we know is really important is being part of a community. And we have a great community of visionary entrepreneurs who are all striving to amplify their impact in the world and to make the world a better place
Yeah.
through the work that they do.
Yeah.
We want to give people a chance to be part of that.
Well, the thing when you decide that you're in business, you know, and especially if you have that vision, expansive vision, to take your business to the next level, to go into global markets. Time zones is just a natural thing. I mean, I speak time zones like I could speak in my sleep. I mean, it just comes, yeah, it just comes naturally after a while. You know, you just know
Yes.
PST, EST, whatever, you know, UTC, you just know all the different time zones. And I mean, it's online as well. You could just Google and it's easy to just do the conversion.
Yeah.
And not only that, once you're doing business, there is no time, meaning to say, oh, I'm so accustomed to 8 to 5 and I can't do business out of those hours. Hello, please. At 2 o'clock in the morning, you can be up having a business meeting with people anywhere in the world. That is just what it is. So
that's just a mindset. So, you know,
yeah.
if you want to do 9 to 5, then you probably don't really want to run an international business because
That's
there's not
right.
really a lot of 9 to 5 in it.
That's right. So you can be up at 2. I know I was doing a proposal for South Africa and I had to work out the time zone. They have a particular deadline in which to submit. And I was up submitting that thing at about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to meet the timeline. You know, and you just do it because the adrenaline rush, you know, you had to meet people, you had to talk to people. That's just what it is. So as you said, it's a mindset. And if you want something badly enough, you go for it. If something is worthwhile for you, you go for it. There's no such thing as time zones. I mean, you're traveling, you take the red eye, you take another one, you know, and it's, you're like, this is your life. I just love being an entrepreneur where you're just running down a plane. You're up at odd hours when people are sleeping. You're quarreling in an airport, you know, but you love quarreling in the airport. And you just, it's just such a, I don't know, it's a blood rush. I just enjoy it, you know.
It's pretty exciting.
It is very exciting. The whole 8 to 5 thing, yes, I'm not bashing it. It's great, but it's great to be an entrepreneur. It really pushes you to see what you're made of, what you're capable of, you know, what you didn't know that's within you, which I think is what inspires me. You know, you just don't know what is in you. You're not staying within your comfort zone thinking, well, 8 to 5, wake up in the morning, beat the traffic, come back and do the same thing. When you're an entrepreneur, there's no routine. You don't know what can hit you any day. You don't know what you have to deal with. And you just need to be like, I don't know. You just have to roll with the punches and just come up with something creative to deal with it. It forces you to think out of the box, to be out of the box, to not have a box, and just cope. So you really
Pretty
don't.
much.
Yeah. I love that. I would love to ask you what the cost would be for your program. Would you mind sharing it with us?
Look, it really depends which one you do.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on which of the programs you choose,
Mm-hmm.
at the moment you would pay somewhere between $300 and $1,500 a month.
And that's US or Australian?
That's Australian. So it's a little bit less in US. It's probably like about 200 US and somewhere between 1,000 and 1,200 US.
Okay, that's a monthly figure, and that will run for like 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, we do it as a subscription, so people can do it month to month. We'd say to people, come and spend 18 months with us so that we can, you know, we can get this really good for you, because it takes time to do it. But it's a pretty comprehensive program. So essentially every week you will meet with somebody. Every month you have a class.
Yeah.
Every month you have a one-to-one coaching session.
Mm-hmm.
And every month you meet up twice with your accountability partner.
Mm-hmm.
And you work with them and they work with you on your strategy and what you're doing. So, you know, there's a touch point every single week.
Sounds fabulous. I would love for you to send me that free resource that I can add it on the recording as well.
Yes.
And I will definitely be in contact with you, because I am one of those who really need to get into more global markets and establish myself. So I am definitely going to talk with you. Do you offer any free consultation for persons? Do you?
Yes, we do. So for anybody who is listening to this call, if you go and you just jump on our contact form, we will do a free 20-minute session with you, or we can work out what you are doing and whether you're actually a match for the program. So we can spend 20 minutes with you and give you kind of a summary of, you know, what we think, you know, can you come and work with us, or would it be better to go away and work on some aspects of the business first? Because one thing we don't want to do is to set people up to fail. We only want to have people coming into the program who can actually do what needs doing. You know, we want people to succeed. So we try and choose people who are going to succeed so that we can make it a great experience for everybody.
Of course. And it will look good for you too as well, because you'll have another case study like Peter's. This is
well, you know, our client's success is our success.
Of
so
course.
We want them to succeed, because if they don't succeed, then we definitely.
It's a win-win situation. That's lovely. That's lovely. I see the recording on your side has kind of stopped there, Cynthia. I think it's probably kind of stuck there. So I am going to wrap up now. I don't know if Cynthia, let me see if I'm still talking. Cynthia is kind of stuck in pause. Cynthia, good. So you're back. I'm seeing you. Right.
Yes.
Things got a little bit unstable there with the internet. Things kind of got stuck.
I think that the submarine cable is having some issues across continents.
That's all right. We're back. That's the important thing. So, Cynthia, I want to thank you so much. We actually end up spending an hour on this thing, or almost just below an hour, because the conversation has been so good. I thank you so much for spending time with me on Between the Lines, sharing and staying up with me. What time is it there in Australia?
It's nearly 10 a.m. What time is it for you?
It's nearly 8 p.m.
In the morning? In the morning or in the evening?
What date is it today? Oh, we have to go with the date. Hold on. It is the Monday. It is still Monday night here. Monday.
No, we're in the future, Corinne.
I know. I know. That's why I went to the calendar, because I just remembered you would be a whole day ahead of me.
Yeah.
So it's Monday and you're Tuesday. You come like New Zealand. I have friends in New Zealand, and it's the same thing. So I call my friend from the future. She's in
Yes, that's us. We're just ahead in time. And thanks so much for having me on the show. It's been a real pleasure to come on and just chat to you this morning and tell you about the thing that I do that I love so much and that makes me so excited.
I can tell. So we are going to keep in touch. You just never know when I might be coming down under and checking out Hugh Jackman. I mean doing business. I mean doing business. That's what I really wanted to say. Oh, thank you so much, Cynthia. And I'm definitely going to be hooking up with you at some point in time to be able to help my business. And of course, I hope persons who are listening will be able to take advantage of your services. I think it's really a good investment. To, you know, every month you kind of, as you said, eat the elephant with a spoon, you know, see the elephant like ice cream and just enjoy it, have fun. And you know that you're month by month, you're making little by little progress over the next 18 months. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, we don't have any clients from the Caribbean so far. We have clients from the States and from Australia and from the Middle East, but we want to really build a global community. So if there's anybody out there from the Caribbean who thinks, I want to be a global rock star,
yay!
Just do it.
Just do it. Thank you so much, Cynthia. You have a great day, and I'll have a great night.
You have a great night too, Corinne, and I really hope that your flu gets better soon.
Thank you. I have no choice. It has to go. Thank you so much.
See you soon.